Hey there, beloved ones. Thank you so much for joining me again for another video. I'm so excited that you came back. And today, we are talking about lists, which is one of my most favorite things besides really comfortable jeans and baby llamas. So, let's get started. Lists are something that is kind of a quirk about myself. I am a very organized person at all, but I do love a good list. This whole list idea ended up finding itself in my spiritual life too, and I just really loved it because you can take a large chunk of Bible material, Bible topics, stuff, and just put it onto one page and make it all very comprehensive and very neat. And that is like one of the only times that you will ever find Amanda being organized. I'm going to show you some of my specific lists and then maybe give you some ideas about lists that you could make and how you can implement this to further your walk with God. So let's go. So first off, in my handy dandy devotional journal, I have lots of lists. Now in the Bible when I'm reading and I find a passage where it's talking about things that God has done or things that God is, I just love listing them out because sometimes they're all spread out, and I think it's also really interesting how as I'm creating these lists, certain attributes, certain things that he has done are mentioned more than others. So like his steadfast love, his mercies, even his patience. And then things, of course, like especially in the Old Testament, there is a huge emphasis on God's parting of the Red Seas, and it also actually mentions flinging out the stars a lot and spreading the skies. It mentions the sky and stars a lot. I just was flipping through this book to find some lists, and one of them that I made was, I was reading through 2 Samuel, and I just listed out all the heartbreak that David went through. He lost Jonathan. He lost Saul even. He seemed to be really sad about that. He was being hunted for his life by Saul. Lost his baby, his daughter was violated, his son raped someone, Amnon was murdered, Absalom left him, just all these things, this heartbreak that happened to him. And, you know, of course 2 Samuel is all spread out, so if you just list it out, you can see how much David went through. There's another example where I was reading 2 Chronicles 26, and I just listed out some things that Christ is. Oh, it actually looks like I was reading it in 1 John, never mind. But Jesus is eternal. He is our advocate, he's life, propitiation, and he cleanses us. You can make lists of things people went through. You can make lists of character qualities, like throughout Ruth. You could read it as a whole and then go back and just compile a list of all the character qualities that you saw in her. Find things that God has done, that Christ has done. Just grab a colorful pen, list it all out, and keep it in your notes, and you'll be amazed at how many times you just find these lists and they help you understand what the person was going through. They help you even decide on application to your life. Character traits that we should have, character traits that we shouldn't have, and just things like that. So that's like a very general overview of lists. This is my other binder, and as I was reading through the Psalms, I believe, I thought, ooh, it would be really cool to make a list of the names of God, but it's not like El Shaddai, even Jehovah, Emmanuel. It's more like colorful names. So as you're reading the whole entire Bible, there are colorful names of God, descriptions of him, and I think that these are so important that we don't forget that God is a God who does all. Judge, my cup, him who is to be feared, rock of refuge, my hope, my God, our lawgiver, pledge of safety. These are very colorful. Light of Israel, creator of Israel, stronghold for the poor, crown of glory, names that just show other attributes of him, other characteristics that we don't always think about. I mean, we hear about God being refuge a lot, right? But then have you ever heard him referred to as spirit of justice, or diadem of beauty, or even teacher? And then my other list that I have is things that we are called in the Bible. And this one is a bit harder, especially when I'm in the Old Testament, because I often wonder, is this a name that can only be used for Israel, or is it okay to apply it to me personally? So that is something that I do want to dig deeper into. As I've made this video, I haven't looked into it yet. But these are the ones that I am positive that God refers to us as. We are his treasured ones. We are his beloved. That's where I got, oh beloved one. Pastures of God, the people of his pasture, witnesses of God, my servant whom I have chosen. I haven't done as well keeping up with this list, but I do have a list on my phone and I need to transfer them over here. But I think this is just really cool too, because we aren't just Christians. We are the sheep of his pasture. We are his witnesses. We are his chosen, his elect, his called. So many different colorful names. And I love the Hebrew language, and I love that God chose to have his people be Hebrew, if that makes any sense, because their language is just so colorful and beautiful, and I think it does a really good job trying to capture him. And I know that as they translate it over into English, we lose a little bit of that. There's also this list that I started. It's called God Gives, and I have different little boxes: strength, power, peace, and wisdom. Of course, there's tons of others, but this is where I was going to start. I was reading through the Psalms, and there's a lot of information there about God giving us strength, power, peace, and wisdom. So I just collected these in these boxes, especially when you need strength, when you need peace. And instead of just Googling it on Bible Gateway, you can come to this list that you've prepared beforehand. It's personal. It's here, ready for you. Really huge list, and this is something kind of went into in my last video series, but not really. It's called the My God Study, and it is basically a huge, giant, voluptuous list. So basically, you just read through the whole Psalms, and as you're reading, you collect characteristics of God. So I have adopted me, my God judges, my God is love, my God forgives, my God deserves praise, and on and on. I just wanted this video to be a really quick, really practical suggestion that you guys start your own lists. And there are so many different things that you could do. You could compile verse passages about certain topics, certain seasons of life. You could list out different good people in the Bible and bad people in the Bible. I started a list. Make sure to like this video, to comment, and to subscribe. And I will see you guys on the blog. Bye-bye.